Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on clean energy financing through Michigan Saves. My name is Sarah Lee, and I am the Clean Energy Engagement Specialist at the University of Michigan Graham Sustainability Institute. I organized this webinar series with the help of EGLE, which is the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy through the state of Michigan. And we developed the Clean Energy and Energy Management webinar series to help highlight the work that Michigan communities are already undertaking with respect to clean energy and energy efficiency. By providing local governments with practical advice for taking action related to clean energy, we hope to demystify the process a bit for other municipalities and show that these actions are possible and happening in communities big and small across the state. So during today's webinar, I will take questions from the audience using the questions feature, which is near the bottom of the GoToWebinar console, which should be on the right side of your screen. And I encourage you to submit any questions as they occur to you throughout the webinar by entering them into this questions field. And when you submit a question, it will only be visible to myself, so don't panic if you don't see any other questions populating. And so for today's webinar, I am excited to introduce Todd O'Grady, who is the Director of Outreach at Michigan Saves. He will be providing a broad overview of Michigan Saves before I turn it over to our local users of the Green Bank, Mark Thompson, who is the Interim City Manager of Fraser, Michigan, and Fraser's lender during this project, Josh Patton of Ascendium Capital. Then afterwards, I'll facilitate a panel discussion with all of our featured speakers and weave in as many audience questions as I can. So with that, I will pass things over to Todd. There you go. And thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Todd O'Grady. I'm with Michigan Saves. Michigan Saves has been around since 2009. We started with the passing of Public Act 295, in which the utilities were mandated to do energy optimization. They soon realized that folks like municipalities and other organizations wanted to take advantage of the rebates that the utilities were offering, but they didn't have the capital to do it. So Michigan Saves was formed. It was created, we are a nonprofit, and we were created by seed money from the Department of Energy and the state of Michigan. It was originally a $6 million fund, which we manage. We call it the Loan Loss Reserve, in which we, if a customer defaults on financing with one of our lenders, we agree to pay that lender a certain percentage of that loan back. And what that does for our program is it eases the underwriting requirements or the credit scores or Dun & Bradstreets or whatever our lenders use to check the credibility of their customers. And it lowers the interest rate. So we have some really good below market interest rates in our program that we are really excited about. Let me get this going here. There we go. So Michigan Saves is the nation's first nonprofit green bank. We're really proud of that. As I said, we started in 2010. We did our first loan. Just give you a little idea, we started our first loan 2010. Here it is 2021. We've done over $300 million in financing since we started. So in almost 10, 11 years, we've done $300 million. And now a lot of those projects are $10,000 or less. The largest project we've done was 3.5 million. So far, we have a couple of bigger ones in the works, but it just goes to show that 300 million is a lot of financing, and it served a lot of people in the state of Michigan so far. We have a process that we went through a lot of research to create the program, through stakeholders, through people that would be affected by the program, people that could contribute to the program. We have a really active board of directors who guide us and give us direction and help us with marketing. They help us with program setup, goals for the program. If you go to our website at michigansaves.org, you can see all those members on our board, as well as some of the projects we've done. We have case studies on there, and it's just a really useful website. I'll go through some of the other programs we have besides our municipal program, but we try and serve all the markets in the state of Michigan. That's our primary goal, and to finance energy efficiency for renewable energy projects for the residents of the state of Michigan. We have strict program guidelines. We are a contractor-driven program, meaning our program is really promoted through our contractors, in which we have almost 700 contractors participating in the program. We do quality control measures to make sure we weed out the bad actors, which luckily we haven't had very many. And we also work with the utilities that offer the rebates and incentives to do improvements, in which we offer 0% programs to many of our customers, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. So we think, transforming the state's energy landscape. This slide was from the end of December. We were at $270 million. We've since hit the 300 million. We're doing over $4 million a month just on the residential program alone. So we're really happy. It was a really good use of, I hate to say government money, but I shouldn't say that, but so that original $6 million, and we already have done $300 million in financing from that $6 million loan loss reserve, and we still have plenty left. So we're always trying to look for new markets to reach. An example is Credit Challenge. We started a program with that. We have several other programs that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but we're always responding to questions or calls we get from the public about, well, I wasn't able to get this because of that. So we always work with our lenders to try and form programs and the utilities to open up that market for everyone. So we have several different programs. We have a residential program, which we can offer financing up to $50,000 as of today. It's going to go up a little higher with an announcement coming shortly in a few weeks. We're also going to extend the term out a little longer. But as you can see, we go credit scores as low as 600. Primarily, we like to see around a 640, but we can do rental properties. We have on-bill programs with certain municipal utilities. We also have a revolving loan fund for low to moderate income customers. As I said, we're always looking for ways that we can service the public. We can finance anything from windows to if the remediation needs to be done for mold or asbestos, we can finance that as part of the overall financing package. Interest rates are pretty low on the residential program as well. They started around 3.75, somewhere in there. And as I said, the term currently goes up to 15 years, and we're hoping to increase that as well. So the reason I'm telling you about this program is it can benefit a lot of you municipal folks to let your citizens, your residents know about this program, because it is a really great, the rates are below market. We work through 7 or 8 different credit unions around the state to offer that low interest rate and that great term. So please let your citizens know about that. I'm always available to come and speak to any city meetings, township meetings, whatever you might have where public is gathering. I'm happy to come and talk about the program. So the commercial and public sector program are pretty close, so I'd like to combine them in one slide. There's a little difference in the interest rates, but as you can see, it's a equipment finance agreement for the most part. We can finance anywhere from around $5,000 up beyond $2 million. It's available for all types of businesses, nonprofits, multifamily, commercial, industrial. you name it on the commercial side, we can pretty much fund. Agriculture, we do a lot of agriculture, farming, grow houses, you name it, we can finance it. It's a really quick process for the commercial and the public sector. In public sector, obviously, I'm talking to the municipalities. It's a one-page application for the most part. Our lender, one of them being Ascendium Capital, Josh is going to speak here shortly, can get you qualified pretty quick. I'm talking within an hour or two for the most part. Municipalities seem to go pretty quick. Approvals are always, we're about in the 85% approval market for commercial, probably a little higher for public sector, obviously. The interest rates on our commercial program start at about 6%. The municipal rate starts probably around 4%. But because we have relationships with consumers, DT and Semco, they're offering 0% to municipalities at this time. They offer it for commercial as well, but I just want to emphasize the fact that we have 3 utilities. If your municipality is located in consumers territory, DTE, or Semco, you can get 0% financing for your energy efficiency projects. So it's a great time. Plus, you're getting rebates from the utility as well that you'll hear about later on from Josh and Mark. But it's a really nice collaboration with the utilities and with Michigan Saves, because you're getting the 0% financing plus the rebate. So it's a really nice deal for the taxpayers. As I said, it's a contract-driven program, so usually you'll go out and find a contractor, get bids. You know, I know some of you have to put RFPs out depending on the amount, but we also like to see Michigan Saves written into the RFP if possible. That way, the contractor's in the program, knows the process, knows how to get the rebates, and it's a lot less work. Plus, they're able to get the 0% for the utilities. I have one job that's in the works right now. It's over $800,000, but they're a DT customer. But because DT is giving $150,000 for 60 months per meter, this customer is going to be able to finance all their buildings, because they're on separate meters, for 0%, which is a great opportunity. They're able to use other bond money for other things that they need in their city, when they can just spend this on energy efficiency and or renewable energy. So we have several other programs that we do on the that we offer to municipalities as well. Power purchase agreements we can do. We can also do tax exempt lease purchase agreements as well, which is a really nice low interest rate with a longer term, 10 to 20 years. So the primary thing is, if you have any project you're thinking about that involves energy efficiency or renewable energy, please call me so we can discuss your options. And obviously the 0% option, our standard financing at 4% is a really good option. We have many schools that take advantage as well. We do libraries. We've done over 50 municipal jobs since we started, anywhere from firehouses to schools to libraries to airports, runway lights, you name it. We've financed it. And the primary thing to remember is, if it saves energy, we can probably finance it. So we're talking about LED lighting, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration. If you have a commissary, we can do the cooking kitchen equipment, controls and preventive maintenance, which adds a lot of energy savings if you do it correctly. And the obvious ones, insulation, windows and doors. We can do roofs. We have certain requirements, of course, for energy efficiency for all these measures, but they're very reasonable, and it's just a good thing to do, because not only do you get the 0% to make your improvement, but you're also saving energy monthly on your energy bill when you install these higher efficiency measures. We can also finance solar, solar storage. We can do geothermal. We can finance electric vehicle charging stations if you need that, if you have those in your plans. We also work with grant programs, so if you're trying to go for a grant but you need a cash match, we can also facilitate that with our lenders as well. The primary thing to remember, and I'll say this a few times, is if you're doing any improvements to your municipality, township, city, village, if it saves energy, make sure you contact us so we can discuss your options. With that, there were a couple other things I want to mention. The process in which I said you fill out a one-page application, it's pretty quick. You'll fill out that one-pager, you'll send it to Josh at Ascendium Capital or one of our other lenders, and they'll get back with you within the hour usually, and I usually it's 15 minutes to 30 minutes, so I'm stretching out when I say an hour. You'll get your approval. You'll find out what you're approved for. You'll send some docs to our lender, in this case, Ascendium Capital. Once we receive those docs signed, we can pre-fund your contractor if you're using a contractor, or if you're doing a self-install, we can, pre-fund your supplier, pay your supplier for that equipment. Once the job's completed, you sign a certificate of completion, being the municipality. Your contractor signs a certificate of completion saying they installed what they're going to install, and then we pay you the remaining 25%. Michigan Saves does charge a 1.99 contractor fee, and that is taken off from that remaining 25%, in which we send you the remaining portion, send the contractor, I should say, or if you're doing self-install, we'd send it to you, minus the 1.99 contractor fee. We have a wide variety of contractors on our website at michigansaves.org. You go in, you put what type of work you want done, your zip code, and it'll show the contractors that work in your area or in whatever range you put for searching for a contractor. We also have a contractor customer satisfaction listing on the right side of that page that gives them a ranking, I think 1 to 5 on their performance. As I said, you can do self-install, which we have a lot of, especially with airports and that have any municipality that has their own facility maintenance crew and has the time to do it. We're happy to finance that as well. It's just as quick of a process. We can also facilitate emergency equipment replacement. So if you have, let's say, a school and the heat goes out, we can get this turned over pretty quick so we can get things fired up again in a really short time period. So as long as you, the municipality, lets us know, or the contractor know that this is an emergency equipment replacement, we can get things rolling much quicker and get the job going. If you have a contractor that you like to use that isn't a Michigan Saves authorized contractor yet, that's a really quick process as well. It takes maybe a day to get them authorized, and we primarily just want to know their license number and their insurance, just to make sure they're in good standing with their license, they're able to do the work legally in the state, and they have the proper insurance to do the work. As I said, we do a really good job of eliminating the bad players in the program. They don't last very long. If we find out after one job there was some trouble and they didn't amend it, didn't take care of it, then we pretty much don't allow them to use the program until they can prove that they've improved their services, I guess is for lack of better words. We have an outreach team that involves 3 of us, in which we go and speak to city council, school boards, any type of meeting to explain the program. We can do that for all of our programs, residential, commercial, municipal. We do a lot of house of worship work, so many communities have a lot of house of worship that have big congregations. We do a lot of church and synagogue board meetings while this process is going through, just because they need approvals from different levels. So we're happy to attend those meetings with you or the contractor or whatever you need to give more information, educate folks, not only on energy efficiency, but the financing process. We also invite lenders to attend as well, just so we can be a one-stop shop for those people thinking about doing a project and making an improvement. As I said, we work with DTE, Consumers Energy, and SEMCO. Our program for the 0% program, but we service all 58 utilities in the state with our standard financing program. So for municipalities, whatever your utility is, the interest rate would start about 4%. And if you are in DTE, Consumers Energy, or SEMCO, you can get the 0%. So please keep that in mind. I think that about does it for me, Sarah, unless I missed something.
All right, great. Thank you, Todd. That was great information. It sounds like there's some good, I don't know if promotions is the right word, but some great opportunities out there right now. So next, I would like to introduce Josh Patton to speak on kind of the lender perspective using Michigan Saves and the project with Fraser, Michigan. And so after Josh, we'll hear from Mark Thompson of Fraser, Michigan.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Josh Patton. I'm from Ascendium Capital. I've been working with Michigan Saves for the past 7 years, and we've had some really good success with helping out lots of different types of customers in Michigan and helping them upgrade their buildings and their communities with energy efficiency, improving their infrastructure, as well as helping them save money, which is really what we focus on a lot. I'm going to go into a little bit more details, and Mark and I are going to tag team a little bit about the specific project that we financed a few years back for the city of Fraser for their streetlight upgrades. But before that, I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown about some of our capabilities, Ascendium Capital directly. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of Regions Bank, which is a FDIC regulated bank out of Birmingham, Alabama, and they've grown and are slowly making their way north into Ohio and Illinois and Indiana and soon to be in Michigan as well. So we have a lot of nice financial backings and a lot of capabilities of working these different energy programs that we work around the country. Over the last 7 years, we've financed over $50 million in projects. It's about 1,100 different projects that we've financed, so small and large combined, lots of different projects that we've been able to run through that Michigan Saves program that's been so effective in Michigan to help out with contractors and customers, combining to show customers both on commercial and on the municipality side of things nice, aggressive energy projects that help those communities and those businesses save energy. We'll talk specifically a little bit about the Fraser Streetlight program. It's kind of a unique situation. In Fraser, the lights are actually owned, and poles are actually owned by DTE, and that's quite frequent in Michigan. There's some communities that own their own lights and some that are actually utility owned. And in this case, it was DTE owned lights, and we were approached by Fraser and through Michigan Saves to see if that's something that we would consider. And most lenders will want the actual equipment, we'll call it in this case, to be financed by the actual community and to be owned by the actual community. And in this case, it was not. But we were able to find a solution to, even though DTE actually owns the poles and the lights, we were able to set up a financing solution that the city and the community could actually pay back that loan. It was beneficial for them as well because it was about a $240,000 give or take financing project, for about 825 LED streetlights. And the payback was a little over 3 years payback, the ROI. And so what we were able to do is set up the financing that we had available through Michigan Saves with DTE's buy down, and back a few years back, the buy down for municipalities was down to 1.99%. So we were able to set up a 3-year loan for 1.99% to enable the city of Fraser to be able to realize that return on investment for this project. So it was a really, really good project for them to be able to see that, and made it possible for them to be able to upgrade those streetlights to do that. I'm sure Mark will tell you a little more about how that went. In terms of the process, Todd talked pretty well about the process. It's really, really simple. We try to take any sort of pain points out of that process. It's a simple one-page application that's completed, sent in to us. And like Todd mentioned, we get back to you pretty much in an hour with an approval. If the financials are not readily available online, then typically we'll have those submitted along with that application. But it's a real quick turnaround in terms of an approval. And then we present the financing documents based on what we're able to set up with the buy down through the utility company. So what we do on our end is we work with the contractor, we see the quote, we work with them through DTE or Consumers Energy or SEMCO to find out the rebate amount and make sure that it does qualify for that buy down. We put that all together, create those financing documents, and we'll work with you to have those signed and completed so we can move forward with the project. As Todd mentioned, we do pay the contractor directly, so whatever the terms are that you guys have set up with them for payment, we will start releasing funds at that time, and then typically we wait until after the installation is completed to pay the remaining balance. But overall, it's a really, really simple, fast, painless process that we're real proud of, and we're real happy to be partnering with Michigan Saves and continuing to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. And now I would like to invite Mark to come on and share some information about what was going on in Fraser and how is it looking now, post-project. Oh, I think you're muted, Mark. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Oh, lost his video, though. I think I can hear you, Mark.
All right. Now you can hear me and see me, right?
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity in Fraser. We're proud of this project. I have to admit that I was not here when the project started or when the project finished. So I'm describing project based on what I've been told, not on my own personal knowledge with the financing or any other aspect of the project. Some of what Josh was saying, we can recreate, and I'll talk about that in a second. But in general terms, and this again is my understanding, the project in Fraser was about a $250,000 project. We have about 825 streetlights that were changed from what I think was high pressure sodium to LED. So that's in round numbers about $300 a light to change to do the change. Some of the information that I have found indicated that there would be about $67,000 annually in savings. Substantial savings, it seems. What we did in preparation for today's discussion was we went back and looked at some of our electric bills from the time before the program and then current electric bills to see whether we could actually find that savings in the electric bills. So we looked at 2017 bills and 2021 bills, same month, and the comparison is not perfect for 2 or 3 reasons. The number of lights changed a little bit, not very much, just 3 or 4 lights. And I cannot speak to the rate changes that may have occurred in what we're paying per kilowatt hour, so that may be a variable in that discussion as well. But at any rate, what we found was that we were saving about, as near as we can tell, and again, I want to emphasize this is not a perfect analysis, but we were saving about $4 per light per month, or 40, again, in round numbers, about $48 a year per light. And if there are 825 lights, that's about just under $40,000 a year savings, as compared to the $67,000. And again, I cannot offer an explanation for the difference. We were but we did a very simple comparison. There may be more to it than what we did, but based on our analysis of comparing January and February in 2017 to January and February of 2021, it's about $40,000 annualized, and it's about $40,000 a year. If you go back to the per light basis at our costs of about $300 a light and saving about $48 a year, we get a payback period a little bit longer than what Josh indicated. That if you do the numbers there, it works out to about 6 years or so payback. I think still very attractive. And I suspect there are a couple of things that were not in the analysis that we just did that do provide some benefit. One of those being the idea that the LED lights last longer, and so there's less maintenance cost. You're replacing those lights less frequently, and the cost for the light and the cost for a crew to go out and change a light may well have been included in the $67,000 number, but that would not show up in the actual energy savings in the bill. So that may be a significant explanation for the difference in the costs, and obviously then the difference in the payback period as well. And I think another advantage, and this is intangible, and certainly wouldn't fit into the calculations, is that because the LED lights have a longer life, there are less outages. So a citizen looking out their front window, seeing a street light that's not functioning, happens less often, and having that light be out, high pressure sodium maybe has typically a 6 or 7 year life. That's been our general experience. And so instead of that bulb burning out every 6 or 7 years, maybe it lasts double that, or perhaps even more. So that intangible aspect of the lights are just out less often than they used to be is beneficial, certainly from perhaps not from a dollars and cents standpoint, but from a sense of community and a sense of community well-being, and just a sense of responsive government. As Josh said, in this case, we do not maintain the lights, so the savings related to less frequent outages and the costs related to outages would not come back to the city of Fraser, but would be a savings generally. So that's sort of our quick and imperfect analysis. Certainly savings, significant savings for our community, in a project that, given the opportunity, I'm sure we would all do again. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, but that's sort of the quick and dirty from our standpoint.
All right, thank you, Mark. Great information, and great information from all of our speakers. So thank you for sharing. I'd like to invite all of our speakers to come back on, and we'll dive into some Q&A. So if any audience members have any questions or comments that they'd like to ask of the panelists, or start in a discussion, feel free to put that in the questions feature of GoToWebinar. So to kick things off, we've got a couple questions here. Todd, you mentioned that Michigan Saves has a list of contractors, which is a really great resource. But when communities are looking to finance a project, should they peruse that list first and find a contractor and then apply? or should they contact you first?
Either way, I think if they have a contractor that they're comfortable using already, then just check our list to make sure they're authorized with us. Otherwise, give me a call so we can get that contractor authorized. But we have plenty of top-notch contractors on our list, but we're always accepting new ones.
All right, great. And then you also mentioned the current opportunity with 0% financing on public sector projects from the utility, sorry, let me read this again. 0% financing on public sector projects from the utilities plus rebates. Seems too good to be true. Are there any catches, or are only certain projects eligible, excuse me, for that, for those rates, or
So,
it is what it is?
no, it is too good. It does sound too good to be true, but it is. And people are so used to being gotten one way or another that they're a little skeptical, but this is really what it is. It's 0% financing and you're getting the rebates. So utilities currently offer rebates on all the things that we listed: lighting, refrigeration, HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, control systems. They run the gamut for, obviously they want to see energy savings. So if you install an 80% efficient furnace in a building, they're not going to give you a rebate for that. They want to see 90 or above, which is fairly standard now. So they don't want to see high pressure sodiums installed. They want to see LEDs installed. So anything that they offer a rebate for, we can finance.
Mm-hmm. All right. That sounds like a great kind of checking tool. See what the rebates are and maybe go from there if you need a starting point.
Pretty substantial.
Mhm.
It's not uncommon that $100,000 project in lighting, and they can get $30,000 or $40,000 in rebates back for interior and exterior lighting. It all depends on time of usage, but a lot of schools benefit big time because they have their lights on so much in the wintertime that the rebates are sky high.
Yeah. You mentioned schools, so I'm going to jump into a question that just came in through the chat. How do you entice a school or a municipality into looking into this service? Maybe you flaunt that $20,000-$30,000 rebate in their face, but anyone on the call, I'm interested to hear what your suggestions are.
Yeah, so it's all about it. Once they hear about our program, then they usually jump on it. It's getting the word out has been our toughest thing, and skepticism, because like I said, people think it's too good to be true. But once one municipality does it or one school, then that facilities manager talks to the community next to them, and then they get on board. So it kind of runs. But we've done everything. We've done schools in Keweenaw, Calumet. We've done down in Monroe, Kalamazoo, Detroit. Just you name it, we've hit them. And that's libraries are the same way, because one librarian in one city talks to another one, or firemen. We have these new LED lights at our firehouse, and it's just really word of mouth. And then once they look into the program or give us a call, they see it is what it is. And like I said earlier, as long as they're making energy efficiency improvements, then they're able to use that bond money that they may have for other improvements, and leave the 0% stuff to us for energy efficiency.
Okay, great. Is anyone aware of any surprises that came up during a previous Michigan Saves project? And were there any lessons learned that you would like to share with other communities?
Josh or Mark, want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Every once in a while, there can be a situation where the install period takes a little bit longer. There could be supply chain issues, things along those lines that are delaying an install. Oftentimes, what we do as a lender is we'll try to build those into the structure of the loan. Planning for the unknown, I like to call it. Especially with municipalities, we have programs where we can defer payments I've written deals that have no payments for 6 months. You know, when the budget year changes, if it's a school and they don't get their funds until August or October, we've set it up where if we're funding the transaction in February, that we have a zero down setup, and then we have an annual payment structure where we will start the payments as soon as the budget hits, and then every year on that same day when the money comes in, we're able to take annual payments that way. So we're really flexible in those situations. And things do come up, right? This is not a perfect world, and we'd like everything to work exactly how we want it to, but it's just not the case. So oftentimes a flexible structure will help with that.
Sarah, I might add one thing, a more sort of nuts and bolts in the weeds kind of aspect, but from the standpoint of municipality, it can be significant. And this was not an experience we had in Fraser, an experience I had in another community where we replaced high pressure sodium with LED lights, and this is a few years ago. The light is different. The light, at least then, and I know improvements have been made in LED lighting, and there's greater ability to control the softness or the harshness of the lights, but the high pressure sodium that is typically what exists now has a sort of a warm glow to it, and at least some LED is a very white light, and frankly a better light in many respects, but it's not as warm and soft and friendly. So didn't happen in Fraser, but I have run into that other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point, and actually answers one of the questions that came in on the quality of light when you switch to LEDs. I don't know if anybody else has heard of residents responding positively or negatively to the change in the light, but that was a great example.
Yeah, and I think the technology, like lots of technology, is continuing to improve, and I think there's better ability to address that issue now than when that problem existed. But it's something to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
It also
Sarah,
allows. Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, I suggest, for anyone on the call today, to really rely on the experts at the contractors. These guys, this is what they do on a daily basis. They can geek out about lighting with the best of them. They know all about the foot candles and different colors of lights. I've just heard a couple of pitches that they've given, and they really know their stuff. That's not my gig. That's probably not your gig either. But they know the differences, and they can give you the different options and help you get comfortable with a solution that makes sense for your community.
One of the things we did. Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, one of the surprises we've learned is a lot of times with the LEDs, you reduce your number of fixtures because the light is so different and so brighter, spreads a larger cast, that they're able to put in less fixtures than they originally had.
An experience that we had, again, not in Fraser, another community where I worked, is the contractors and the producers of the lights were more than willing to give you 2 or 3 or 4 lights, so you could put some sample lights out in different places and get a feel for what they look like. And our experience, that was best served when we would put a couple of the new LED lights adjacent to a couple of the existing high pressure sodium lights, so you could see the difference. And as I said, the manufacturers were more than willing to provide a couple of samples so that we could see those see what we were looking at in advance in terms of color.
That's a great idea to try to do like a trial run. That's great. Let's see. Another question maybe for Josh, what are some questions that a community should make, or excuse me, what are some questions a community should ask their lender before financing a project through them? Some key questions or things to ask.
Yeah, sure. Experience is really important. Knowing that they have a document to be able to finance a municipality is key. Not all lenders have set documents for municipalities. You know, there are set tax exempt documents that allow them to do some things that most lenders would not. So really making sure that they have experience in that realm with those types of communities. I would say the same thing that they would want to ask contractors. Want to make sure that they've worked with municipalities in the past and have some testimonies that they can provide and some references. You don't want to be the first project of a contractor, and you probably don't want to be the first project of a lender that's getting into a new market. So those are some really good questions to ask. Probably I want to also ask about, you know, if there's any origination fees or any sort of money that is outside of what's originally talked about. With us and with Michigan Saves, the only additional fee outside of that contractor fee that is typically charged to the contractor is a documentation fee. And through the Michigan Saves program, it's a $250 documentation fee that's collected with that first payment. So that's really the only thing that we have on our side, but I know that other lenders sometimes will have, you know, origination fees that are 1% of the amount financed or something along those lines. So really asking those questions, making sure they see a term sheet, see exactly what they're getting into before they make an agreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really great points. Thank you. One audience question that came in, this person would love to share information with their citizens about Michigan Saves. Are there any available promotional materials to do that? It would be great to have an infographic that they can post on social media or a website, etc.
Yes, just contact me. You can look under resources at michigansaves.org. There are some flyers there you can download, or just contact me and I can drop off rack cards or infographics. We have a bunch of that stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention, in your neck of the woods, Sarah, Ann Arbor, they are in a move to electrification. So we can also assist with that with our program. A lot of folks are moving towards heat pumps for the municipal buildings and ductless or ducted heat pumps to replace furnaces or boilers. So we can also finance that some people call new technology. And we can also help with laying out programs for electrification if that's the goal of your particular city, like Ann Arbor. With our contractors, we do contractor presentations to attract more contractors to tell them about the value of energy efficiency in their business. So if you have any ideas on that or heading in that direction, please give me a call. But I'm happy to drop off any literature we have or send it electronically.
All right, great. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in the questions console of GoToWebinar. So I'm wondering from our panelists, maybe particularly from Mark, who, you know, you worked with a couple communities, not just Fraser. Have we missed anything that maybe a local community might want to know? You know, any questions on Michigan Saves?
Well, I think that Josh mentioned something that is potentially significant for each community. In Fraser, the DTE owns the system, and so that creates one set of sort of circumstances where the city was frankly making an investment in a system that they didn't own, and Josh touched on that a little bit. And in some cases, the municipality might own the system and simply buy power. And when that's the case, it's, I think, probably a cleaner analysis in terms of the savings, because the savings would only be in energy costs, which may explain why the total savings and the payback period is a little different because in Fraser, for example, we continue to pay a fee for the part of our bill includes the pole and the lights and the maintenance and all that sort of thing as well. So there are two different, I guess, generally, I suppose, two different categories. The other thing is some systems are metered systems, and this one is not. There's an assumption that the light is going to burn a certain number of hours every year, and we replace, say, a 150 watt high pressure sodium bulb with and I don't know what it would be, a 40 watt LED bulb. So those are two different, I think generally two different ways that the systems are owned and operated, and they would make a difference here. Evidently DTE was amenable to working with the city of Fraser to make this happen. Sounds like everybody benefited from it, I am sure. I do have a question for Todd, though, if that's appropriate. Todd, the city of Fraser is looking at replacing, I think, 4 HVAC units in the coming year at an estimated cost of $120,000. We would not typically borrow money for a project of that size, but you mentioned the grants or I guess rebates, and obviously this is selfish from the city of Fraser's standpoint, but I think it might be relevant for other people who will be listening. So these are HVAC units on top of our city hall. So while I have you here and you're captive, what are your thoughts in that regard on a $120,000 project? What would make sense just generally?
So the first thing we do is contact the utility and find out what the rebates are going to be for those 3 units. And then we would have you call Josh and figure out the payment schedule and sign the docs and get you rolling. It's because you've already done a loan with us, it's pretty cut and dry, but the only other thing would be the contractor, getting the contractor on board if you're going to sub it out. I'd imagine you are. So, if you're going to take bids, we're usually not the delay in the program, in the process of the project. It's usually on the contractor side. So, if you know you're going to be doing it, I'd get that done as quickly as possible for a couple reasons. Contractors are really busy right now. Supply shortages. So there's a long wait for a lot of, especially right now, AC units. And costs are going up. So no time like the present, and the rebates are still pretty good from the utilities for those units. So yeah, we're just waiting for you to sign the doc.
Mark, on my side, I think the best way to do that, and this is a good thing to talk about for everyone on the call as well, is really assuming that you've already potentially received some quotes. We would just want to see those quotes directly. If you send those directly over to us, we can then work with the contractor to verify the rebates with the utility company and then give you firm numbers of exactly what we can offer, that we can, yes, this is a project that we can give you 0% financing for, and give you those firm numbers that you can then go and get approved on your end. But that is a quick process once we have that quote and know what the project scope looks like.
So, and again, for the larger audience, and just using that project as an example, there could conceivably be 0% financing and rebates. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So, $120,000 project you could pay for over the course of 2 or 3 years at 0% interest, and 120 maybe becomes 90 or something. I don't know what the numbers are. So. Right. Why would anybody pass up a deal like that?
Sarah's point exactly.
Okay.
So especially if those three units are all on the same meter, and I'm assuming, I think DT is your utility, obviously. So they allow up to $150,000 at 60-month term which is better than the term you had on your street lights. So you can get up to
Right.
60 months to finance that $150,000, up to $150,000 on 1 meter.
Okay. Well, we will be following up, and we've not made any. In fact, we have one quote. So we are just on the front end of the process. So, Sarah, if no one else has benefited from this webinar, I have in the city of Fraser has.
Terrific.
Excellent. And that was an
And I'm sure other
question.
people. I'm sure other people have as well, but certainly the city of Fraser has benefited from being here.
Perfect. Mission accomplished then. That was a great question. Do you have any other questions? All right. Well, we've got just a couple more minutes left. Are there any other closing thoughts from our speakers today, Todd or Josh or Mark?
I would just say,
No, so go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
no problem. I was going to say we're excited to work with lots of different communities. We've got a lot of experience with this, and really want to see what kind of projects you guys have to look at. And we're happy to help. Give myself or Todd a call anytime, and we're here to help out.
Josh, do you want to? Sorry to interrupt, Josh. Do you want to put your number or your website in the chat, or you can send it to me and I can include it in the follow-up email? And Todd, I have your contact information. I know it was on that slide, so I can include that as well.
Sure. My computer has died. I'm actually up on vacation in northern Michigan right now, but I will send an email to you. So.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us from vacation.
No problem.
The only thing I would say, just a reminder that we can also finance EV charging systems. That was in one of the slides, but it's getting pretty popular now. So we can also do that for municipalities as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, in our closing few minutes here, I'm just going to share that we do have some more upcoming webinars. If you'd like to join us in July, we have representatives from SWIFT, which is the Department of Energy's Sustainable Wastewater Infrastructure of the Future initiative. And then in August, we have representatives from the EPA joining us, sharing resources for local governments. And also, I encourage all of our attendees to take the quick exit survey, which will pop up when you exit this webinar and also in the follow-up email. So with that, I'll say thank you to everyone for joining us, and thank you again to all of our speakers for your time and excellent information.
Thank you, Sarah.
Watch that.
Thank you, Sarah. It's my pleasure.